To build smarter AI, the advice has always been pretty simple. Just build it bigger. For like a decade, that was the undisputed path forward. But, what if that path is about to run out of road?
This whole idea comes from something famously called the bitter lesson. The basic concept? Stop trying to be all clever and bake in human knowledge. Just throw more and more computing power at the problem and let the machine figure it out on its own.
And well, this belief in pure brute force computation kicked off an absolute arms race. It completely reshaped the entire field of AI, turning progress into this simple, single-minded quest for massive, massive scale.
I mean, look at this. It led to a total explosion in the size of these models, and the cost to train them just skyrocketed. What started at around $7,000 back in 2018 quickly ballooned into estimates of over $78 million for just one training run. Crazy.
But now there's this really compelling new argument that's gaining a lot of ground. The idea that this whole era of predictable gains from just scaling up, well, it's coming to an end. So let's actually look at the evidence for that. In an essay that's really sparked a ton of debate, researcher Sara argues that the simple formula of bigger equals better is starting to fall apart. We're seeing more and more examples that just don't fit that old rule. And here is a perfect example. You've got this giant Falcon model, right? 180 billion parameters, and it gets beaten by Llama 3, which has only 8 billion. And listen, this isn't just a one-off thing. It's becoming a real systematic trend. This chart here shows you exactly what's happening. Each one of those teal dots is a smaller model, and you can see this clear flood of them hitting performance scores that match or even blow past their much bigger gray counterparts. So the really crucial point here is that progress isn't just about size anymore. It's a whole mix of things. We're starting to see diminishing returns from just piling on more parameters. And we're realizing that way better data, smarter algorithms, and totally new model designs can make up for raw power. All this evidence seems pretty convincing, right? You think, okay, case closed. But the story, it's not quite that simple. Let's get into the counterargument because this is where the debate gets really nuanced. Critics, like a researcher from RC.ai, are pushing back, saying that, reports of scaling's death are greatly exaggerated. They're arguing that while all those other factors are important, it is a huge mistake to write off the power of scale just yet.
Okay, take the whole data quality thing. Hooker's view is that it helps us rely less on massive compute. The critic doesn't really disagree with that, but they reframe it. They say, sure, but better data makes every model better, big or small. So things like better data don't replace scaling, they actually make scaling even more effective. And this leads us to what is, honestly, the most fascinating part of this whole debate: the relationship between the big models and the small models. It's not a competition. It's actually symbiotic. They literally depend on each other. So here's how it works. First, a massive teacher model is trained. Then that huge model is used to create perfect, high-quality training data, or its knowledge is basically compressed and transferred into a smaller student model. This means a lot of the amazing performance gains we're seeing in these nimble little models are only possible because of breakthroughs made by their giant predecessors. So after all that, what does this actually mean for the future of AI? I mean, where are we heading if the old map, the one that just said get bigger, isn't reliable anymore? In the end, both sides of this debate end up in a remarkably similar place. As Sara herself puts it, the main takeaway is that we can't rely solely on compute. The future isn't a choice between scaling and these other techniques. It's about how they all work together.
And this is what really matters. The toolbox for building AI is just getting way, way bigger. Yeah, we still have the supercompute-heavy methods, but now they're being combined with lighter stuff, like reasoning, and even brand new gradient-free approaches. Innovation is happening on so many different fronts now, not just one. So that predictable path of just building a bigger machine is giving way to a much more complex and, frankly, more creative future. This means the next huge leap in AI might not come from the company with the biggest supercomputer. It could come from a clever new algorithm, a perfectly crafted data set, or a totally new architecture from a smaller team. The race isn't just about size anymore. It's about being smarter, and that opens the door for everyone.